Okay, this week we're finally doing the ceiling fan. So this is what we got. It is from Patriot lighting, which is Menard's brand. It's about as big as you'd want to put in a small room like this. So it's a 48-inch fan. The old one I had was a 42, so it's considerably bigger. It also has something I've never had before, which it has a LED light kit in it. I don't know if you can see those very good or not. You can see the little yellow things or orange things are LEDs. So there's no bulbs to put in. It will supposedly light forever. So we'll see until we get tired of it or it stops working and we have to take it down. So came with a globe that goes on the lights, the canopy or whatever you call that goes up against the ceiling. We do have a small down rod for it. We're not going to use because our ceilings aren't high enough, so we're going to do it as flush as we can. The motor and the blades. One thing I would say, well, two things I've noticed so far being critical. One, this is the receiver. It does have a remote control, which is kind of interesting. The receiver I have to wire up. It seems like that could have already come wired. So that's not a big deal, but kind of annoying that they didn't do that. The other thing is they call these blades reversible. So they say it is walnut, which I'm assuming that's supposed to be the walnut side, and what they called light oak, which is not light oak in my view. So not too big a deal, but those are the two things so far. So what I need to do is, we still have our trusty little light up here. I'm going to take it down. First turn off the breaker. Have to say that. Don't anybody get electrocuted on my account. So turn off the breaker and then take this down. There's basically a couple screws on each side. One has a little J cut into the mount. The new one has the same situation. So you take out the ones that are just in the holes on each side, and then you can loosen the ones that are in the J's and turn it slightly and drop it down. So I'm going to do that, disconnect the light, or the old fan, and then we'll see if it looks like the new base or new canopy is actually smaller. So I'm going to have to, that's this right here, is actually smaller than the old one. So I'll have to hit that with a little ceiling paint when I take that down, just to get it looking right. And then we'll put the new canopy up there and go from there. Okay, that collar seems to be up there good. You feed the wires through the hole so things are coming down the right way. I just put that housing piece, I can't remember what to call it, but anyway, put that up there just to make sure that it covered everything. And you can see there's a little bit of a gap here on the drywall on the outside of the box, but it's fine. The cover will cover it, so that's no big deal. I am going to hit it with a little bit of paint. I can tell where I hadn't gotten the paint to, so I'll do that and then we'll pick up from there. The one thing you really want to be sure of is, if it's not a newer house that you're doing this in, that you're going to have a good solid base to go into. I've done this in older houses, and you have to redo basically the box and the ceiling. If you just had a light up there before and you're going to put a ceiling fan up, you need to make sure that's good and solid. So anything fairly contemporary is fine, but if you're in an old house, it's always a possible problem. So, all right. Okay, so I got the paint up there drying, so it'll be fine to get around here soon. The next piece of this is, you see the 3 screws that come already installed in the top here, and we're going to mount this guy on here. So we need to remove this cover, just pops right off. So that covers these holes in case you're doing it with the down rod, but we're not doing that, so I don't need that. And then we're going to take these screws out. Fit this guy over here. These guys should go right back in where they were. So as far as not using the down rod, this has 3 ways you can install it. One is flush, like we're going to. Okay, see that's on there good and solid now. So flush, or with the down rod, and then it can also be mounted at an angle. But because the down rod is not very long, you could only do, I think it's 10-degree angle on this. If you needed to do a longer, or if you wanted to have it where you have high ceilings, or you had a bigger angle than that, you'd have to get a special down rod for it. So that's something you could look at if you're going to get a fan. So anyway, this is ready to hang up on the bracket. And I'm going to move the camera. We'll do that next. Okay, so when this was wired, we had white, which is neutral, the black, which is your hot, and then a secondary, the red is the secondary that we're not using. What we're using on the old fan, we're not going to use on the new. But it's there in case we wanted to, instead of doing the remote control version like we're doing here, I was going to do what I've done in other rooms, which is have a control on the wall where you can control the fan and the light separately. To do that, I believe we're going to need the red, but we're not doing that in this room. So maybe some future time we'll do that. So this guy, there is a little, you can't see it, I'm sure, but there's a little pin sticking up here. So I can put this up and hopefully slide right on that. And that's a godsend because that holds the weight, which this thing's kind of heavy. So that holds the weight for you while you're doing this. So now, as I said before, is where you wire in the receiver piece, which is this, this guy. So in this case, we have the red and the black, or red and white that come out of here, which go to the power coming from the switch. So the red's actually going to go to my black because that's my hot, and the white's going to go to white, which is my neutral. Okay, and then from that I've got a white, black, and blue, and I have white, black, and blue coming from the motor as well. So we wire this stuff up, and then we slip it into this housing cover, and we're ready to put the base of the fan up. Okay, so they left the ends on here. I'm going to pull those off because we're going to use wire nuts to secure this stuff. So do that. There's also green ground in the collar here, and I'm going to do that to my ground that's in the wiring, which is the one that doesn't have any insulation on it. So we'll wire that up, and we're going to go, oh, give me 2 wire nuts. Red to black. Give it a little twist. Put the wire nut on it. And tighten it down. Good and solid. So, oh, no, see, that wasn't good enough. Make sure it's on there good. Okay, that's good. And then same with the white. Yeah. And I did the same thing. The braided one I'm merging in should be toward the front, so that when you screw on the wire nut, you're getting both of them. Okay, that's on there good. Alrighty, so I am going to shorten these. There's no reason to have all that extra wire up there. There's no room for it. So if I take these 3 off, alright, give me a little more light. And now I'm going to snip these guys like right here. That made all that. One of these days I'm going to have to get a wire stripper, but oh well. There we go. Alright, we'll redo this then. So white to white. To black. And blue to blue. Let's put the blue through here. Okay, much simpler, even though I had to do it twice. I'm sure they give you all that extra line in case you did have a long down rod, and you could do it that way, but it's just in my way. So these guys then definitely go under there. These wires go under there. The receiver comes back a little, oh, that's the problem. Okay. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the having this receiver separate that you have to put in there. It would be nice if it was built into the housing somehow and already pre-wired. That would have been much nicer. But anyway, it is what it is. Let's try this again. I'll take this off. What we got on this side? Anything? That side's on. Hallelujah. I got the two loose ones and the J clamps or J connectors, so I can start the ones that just go straight into the hole. Pretty solid. And this guy's loose. Spin. Okay, we just slide this through the slot and get one to start here. it up at first, but we got there. It's always just a little snug for using a cordless. I could have a longer bit, but oh well, what fun would that be? Okay, that one's on good. And lather, rinse, repeat. So now we do the light kit, which I think I showed you before. It's kind of cool. It's all LED. On the back, I have two where I can put the screw in and then twist it, and one that's fixed. So what I need to do is loosen two of these guys. And take one of them out. Just totally take this guy out. And then these just have push-on connectors. So we have a white and a blue that goes to white and black. So not entirely convinced why they did it that way. Pretty obvious. There's the one set aside, or one side is a little wider, and there's a cutout in the female adapter. So there's only one way you can do that. So that goes on pretty simple. And then I want my two that I can slide to go up over the screws I've loosened. Thing from moving. This all the wires in the way. Sorry. And twist. I think that side's tight. There we go. I didn't have the one screwed down quite far enough. And then we'll put this guy back in. blades still move and the light doesn't, that's a good sign. We have this guy, which again has a texture to it, and we can get it up in here and turn it. And there we go, that's snug. All right. Now I'm going to go turn the power back on, and we'll come back and we'll give it a try. So I'm putting the battery in the remote. It's supposed to automatically work when you first turn it on, so there we go. Low, medium, high, and the light works. Beautiful. All right. Well, I think that counts as a success. Next week get another painting video, so we're going to make the walls in here malted milk colored, which is right up my alley. So anyway, that's next week, but at least we'll have a light on in here when we do it. I also have a new work light. You probably saw me turn it on a little bit, but we'll talk about that next week. And a DeWalt painter's tool, just kind of little helper kind of thing. So, alrighty, that's it for this week.